How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Joe the Geek. Welcome back to the channel. And tonight we're going to be talking all things comic book movies. So we're going to be doing a bit of a look at all of the past Marvel and DC movies and looking a little bit about what's coming up in the future. So I've got an exciting panel here tonight. We've got, as ever, my good pal James. How are you, James?
Heyo, what's up?
Heyo, indeed. Are you well?
All good, man. This is what, day 4 on the trash on the Triple Z. Yeah, a little binge.
And then we're doing tomorrow over on JP's channel.
I think so, yeah. I
think we're having Wednesday off, and then we're back Thursday on Simon's channel, and then I'm over with Efren on Friday, and then Saturday Night Live. Saturday. We might as well chuck something in on Sunday as well. Do you know what I mean?
It'd be easier if we just did something on Wednesday and not took the day off. That's life, then, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's as if we don't need more content, Triple G. Come on.
Exactly.
You should be on 7 nights a week.
No. 24 hours a day, 7 nights a week. Absolutely.
I wouldn't go off far about
it. Luke, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. You guys do way too much. Way too much. I
enjoy it.
I couldn't do all what you guys do.
Yeah, no, it's good fun, man. It's good fun. Me and James live for this stuff. Efren, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, Comic Book Familia? I wasn't going to miss this one. Talking about movies, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm ready.
That describes the panel, Efren, doesn't it? Speaking of, anyway, Simon, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. How are you?
Very good. I'm excited, Simon. I'm excited because you've got the long-anticipated follow-up to your last live show. We've got a live show coming from you on Thursday, haven't we?
Yeah, I decided to do another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not as many as you, just maybe once, couple of months.
Once every quarter, you seem to.
Every quarter, yeah.
Yeah. But looking forward to that because it's about obviously it's about One Piece, which I've absolutely loved. So really looking forward to getting into that one with you. Mm-hmm. And we've got James Comic Deal. How are you, James?
How's it hanging, YouTube? Comic Book Familia. Ew, let your geek flag fly. How you all doing?
That was breathtaking.
Very original.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Breathtaking.
Simon doesn't have a catchphase, so I didn't know what to throw in.
No, he does. He does this. He does like a little wave. Right. The Simon wave. Yeah.
We start again.
Yeah. Oh, how are you, James? Are you all right?
Yeah, I am pretty peachy. Thank you very much.
Pretty peachy. I like that. Right, chaps, let's see who we've got in the chat and then we shall make a start. We have got, as ever, good old StreamYard. Thank you for joining. We've got Phil from Phil's Universe. Thank you for joining, Phil. Always nice to see you. We've got Fuzzy of the Dunlop, all aboard. Nice to see you, Fuzzy. And we've got James. Always nice to see you as well, my friend. We're just talking before the show, James. Looking forward to catching up when we get to Liverpool in a couple of weeks' time. That's going to be a cracking time, I'm sure. Fuzzy, I'm a disappointed flop these days, according to the wife. That's a bit harsh. Sorry to hear that, mate. And we've got original Big Dave, evening chaps. Nice to see you, Dave. Again, we're just talking, Dave, about catching up with you in a couple of weeks' time. So looking forward to that. MJ Comics, aren't we all, Fuzzy? A disappointment to Fuzzy's wife. She's never said that to me. We've got Sean as well. Nice to see you, Sean. I hope you're well. Fuzzy, on Wednesday, I'll have 18 shorts out instead. You know what? You're not half wrong. I've been doing shorts today. So you're probably right, mate. What foods can we introduce Past Point Comics to tonight? Yeah.
Haggis.
James. Haggis is a good one. Have you had haggis?
I've heard of that. Yeah,
black pudding.
Heard of that?
Never had it.
You ever black pudding?
No, never heard of that.
Black pudding. No, it's good.
I like black pudding.
Efren didn't know what mushy peas were the other night, and then we moved on to Spotted Dick, and he lost his cool. It was, to be honest, Efren, I have to tell you, it was disappointing to hear that language, that profanity coming out of your delicate mouth.
So disappointing that he had to clip it. And put
I clipped it, yeah.
I clipped it too afterwards on my tape.
Me and James were talking. We're going to be sending you a little package, Efren, full of UK delicacies. Fuzzy, too far.
No, that's no.
Okay, guys, we've got 20 people watching, which is incredible. Thank you so much, everybody. Please do hit the like and subscribe button for all of my friends on screen at the moment, and it would be greatly appreciated. Okie dokie. So, cracking straight on. Just wanted to quickly touch on this. We'll start off Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. What we're going to do, guys, is for each movie, one of us will kind of introduce it and talk a little bit about the movie itself, and then we'll all kind of pitch in. What we're going to do at the end is kind of summarize them. I'm going to ask you for your favorite and least favorite out of the movies, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up before the end of the year from Marvel and DC. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Who wants to start off with this one? Who's seen this one?
I'll take it because I probably haven't seen the rest, so I'll take it.
Go for it.
So yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was the third Ant-Man movie. Introduced the big build-up for Kang coming into the MCU, and it was basically all about going into the quantum realm. And I'm trying to think if I remember. I've actually seen this movie twice in the cinema, and I'm
So actually, I've seen it. So have I.
So what happens? They go down, they get sucked into the quantum realm, and then they're trying to find Sharon. Is it Sharon? Is it Sharon? It's not Sharon Stone.
It's Sharon Stone. Yeah, it's
Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone's like, she then sort of rekindles friendships and tries to stop Kang. And her family gets put in danger, and there's MODOK, and there's that sums up. But you know what, right? So I actually really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it the first time. First time I went to see it, me and Andy went to see it, Perpetual Comics. Yeah. And then my son, who's 5, said he wanted to see it. So I said, all right, I have no problem. I'll take him again and see it. He loved it. So I actually thoroughly enjoyed Quantumania. I thought it was. I've compared it to. It's like a Marvel version of a Rick and Morty episode.
It's just the writer of Rick and Morty wrote it, so that makes
actually makes it sound better than it was.
Jeff Loveness,
yeah. Didn't realize.
I mean, I did not know that, but this totally explains a lot of it. Yeah,
Sharon Stone.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Triple G was just doing his usual agree along, and not really.
Yeah. It's the same person. I'm just taken aback that you really enjoyed it.
You know what? See, and I know a lot of people had issues with it, but I don't understand it because, as a standalone movie, it's not trying to do anything outside of being a self-contained movie. So setting up Kang for further, but then again, it doesn't actually do that really. It's sort of like one and done for Kang, except for the sort of what do they call it? The what's that called where all the Kangs were together? The Court of Kangs or whatever.
The Council of
Kangs, yeah. So I just, as a standalone movie in its own right, I think it worked really well. I thought the action was great. I thought the fight scenes were great. I thought the humor was great. I did not mind MODOK at all. I didn't mind what's the Corey Swall? Was that his name? Swall's big head. Sure. Yeah, I didn't mind his massive head. I thought it was great. And yeah, I know there was issues potentially with how the CGI looked, but it's not going to bother me if CGI is a bit funky here and there. I just generally thought the story was great. It was well acted, and it was a fun ride, which I did twice, and I'll do it again.
Good stuff. Good for you. I'm pleased, James. Who else wants to chime in on this one? Who else? Did anybody else enjoy it?
I didn't think it was bad.
Bless you. Sorry, I'm loving the fact. I feel like I'm at school. You're all putting your hands up now. Bless you. So Simon, we'll come to you first, then we'll go to Ephraim.
Yeah, I mean, so I went to cinema to watch it, and when I first watched it, it wasn't amazing. There was a lot of CGI, but I thought it wasn't a bad movie. So it told a story. It was Kang, and it had a lot of action, in it and it was an all round movie that I enjoyed, that I would watch again, but it's not like one that I really hate. So I think Ant-Man, we deserve it justice really, because it's like, it's not like there's been a lot worse, hasn't there, out there? Like,
has there? Which one do you think's worse than this? Then
what, out of the movies we're going to be looking at? I think Flash is worse.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah.
I haven't seen Flash, but I agree.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that I can disagree with you, Simon. That's a really interesting point. How about you, Ephraim? What do you think of it?
First of all, I want to know if James is wearing any moose today. Then
My Renee's Chez Souffle. No, my hair is
okay.
short.
I
I
was
think I'm
wondering,
gonna
yeah,
have to.
talk about that. I liked the movie. It was entertaining for me. I did like the special effects. I didn't like MODOK, the character,
No.
his portrayal. I didn't like that at all.
Didn't like it.
I wish that Michael Pena was in this movie. I love his recaps at the end of every Marvel, at the end of Ant-Man movies. I wish there was some way they could have brought him in just for a recap. That's like one of the highlights of the first two movies of Ant-Man. So, I mean, it was enjoyable. I was a little bit disappointed. I don't know. I expected something more, but I'm not sure what more they could have done.
Yeah.
It was set in Quantum Mania. I like the premise of that. I go, this is going to be interesting, but I don't know, just too much, like almost like a Star Wars type of movie, with all these battles going on in one scene, But it was okay. Like I said, I wouldn't go see it again in a movie theater. I mean, I've only seen it once.
So not a one you would rush back to see, Ephraim?
No.
Luke, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I watched this when it came on to Disney Plus, so I didn't go out and see it in the cinema. It's not like everyone's saying, it's not a terrible movie, but it isn't a great movie. And I think that to single this one out wouldn't be fair, because it seems to be an ongoing problem with the whole of the MCU as of late. The problems that I have with this particular film are the same problems that I have with several others that have come out since Endgame. And again, like even the whole Endgame thing, I feel like we all have tried to give it a chance, but this whole throw everything at the wall, see what happens technique that Marvel/Disney are doing, I mean, that's what they're doing on paper. For me personally, I think these are all separate universes, and it's all leading to Secret Wars. So I think every one of these movies is set in its own universe. So maybe T'Challa isn't dead in a Black Panther movie further down the line. But yeah, I mean, the problems that I have is the overuse of CGI. Everything feels like it's being filmed on a soundstage, whereas before they used to go places. They used to film on location. Mm-hmm. It all feels very. I'm saying cheap, but it's not cheap because it's super expensive to do this sort of CGI. But it feels like it's not as awe-inspiring or extravagant as it used to be.
I agree with you, Luke. I found the CGI quite jarring, and I think probably more because Ant-Man for the first two films has been one of the more grounded movies. It was realistic to as far as a man who shrinks to the size of an ant can be. But do you know what I mean? It was set in the real world, so I felt it lost a bit with that. James T, what about yourself?
I really loved it. Back when I saw it, I remember doing the review show, and I was kind of up against the wall in it where everyone else was shitting on it, and I was like, well, I like this and that, and that. I think I gave it an 8. I in retrospect, there's some pretty big problems with it. Like there's a YouTuber I like, Mahler, and he does often 5-6 hour videos where he just tears into movies, and he does a lot of the MCU ones, and he did a 6 hour I'm one, and I watched it, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with most of what he's saying. I think I was just so captivated by Kang. And I still think that's a phenomenal performance, and I like that interpretation of the character. But yeah, I mean, like there is some iffy, but I think the worst effect look in all of the MCU is in it where he's in the Baskin Robbins uniform. It just looks like it looks like a student green screen kind of thing, But a lot of the things that people hated in it, like MODOK, I didn't really have an issue with how he looked or anything like that. I liked his role in the story. I thought a lot of the humor did work. I think it doesn't get enough credit for what it did well. People just kind of shit on the bad things and don't really, give credit where credit's due.
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting point, James. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons I was keen to start off on this film. And we'll touch on it later at the end when we look at kind of Rotten Tomato scores and things. But this film, out of all the recent Marvel movies, critically, is probably the one that's had the biggest maulum. But I think it's fair to say, as we talked about in the show we did a little while ago, even the Marvel movies that we don't think are the best, or as you guys have kind of just demonstrated, they're okay, they're still not bad, I don't think. And I'm going to come to you at the end, and I want you to think about this as we go through. I want to know what your percentage measure is in terms of what makes it a good film. So if we're grading something and you give it, say, an 80%, is that class as a good film? Or do you class 50% and up as a good film? Because at the end, we're going to look at the percentages for all the Rotten Tomato scores and see which kind of falls into the good or bad kind of side of things. Just going to quickly jump to the chat before I do that. Sorry, I say my view on it. I wasn't a massive fan of this movie. I think it took it out of us because I like the grounded kind of things. I absolutely loved Kang. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought his performance was brilliant. MODOK didn't float me boat. I did enjoy the battles. I think you're right, James. I think the fight at the end, in particular, with Kang kind of cut loose, and I liked the ant army. Do you know what I mean? That was good fun, I guess.
The woman in it as well. She was like one of the alien warriors and stuff, and I thought she was really good in it.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I felt like she was a bit bland.
I thought she was really.
If that was Michelle Rodriguez or something like that, I think people would have worked a bit better.
And she's the same actress from Mandalorian. Plays the
That's right.
Imperial officer. He's
and I like her in Mandalorian a lot. I know a lot of
she's
people
good,
don't, but yeah, I really like her in Mandalorian. So yeah,
I liked the guy with the kind of the thing on his head that shot stuff. I can't remember.
That's-
who it was.
that's,
the beam face.
Yeah.
Quasar or something. It's Chidi from Good Place. Anyway, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And
then
then
probably
like I have holes. You know,
Yeah,
that
the jelly guy is
well,
hilarious.
yeah.
Big Dave just saying here that the CGI was on par with She-Hulk, utter garbage. Dave's never one to mince his words. He often has strong views, and I can't disagree. I'm scared to say anything about She-Hulk because Fuzzy's in the chat and he'll kick off with us. But you're right, Dave. It's shite. Fuzzy, Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah.
I watched it on the plane to Florida and I fell asleep. Yeah. Fuzzy, I need to rewatch it. I was a bit bored. However, I thought the second was also poor. I certainly think the second wasn't as good as the first, Fuzzy. I would agree with you on that. I really enjoyed the first one.
I don't know about that. I like the second one a lot.
Yeah, with the ghost. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
I
I
thought
just
that
enjoyed.
effect was pretty cool.
I think the first one is pretty sort of standard. You know, we'll make the movie A to B, just keep it as plain as possible to get people to buy into the Ant-Man. And then the second one, they sort of introduced a bit more, and the third one, they just went balls out. And I appreciate every escalation they attempted.
You love it when they go balls out, don't you? Yeah,
I love balls out.
You're right, James. Not about the balls out. The ghost effect in Ant-Man 2 was very, very good. I did like that. GP saying I don't mind it. It was fun. Sean, it was okay. Just didn't like how Michelle Pfeiffer forgot to tell everyone about the quantum world. Yeah, it just felt a bit off. I thought.
No, tell me this. So, right, if you get sucked into a quantum world, you know, many years ago, and you end up shacking up with Bill Murray for a lot of years, and then you manage to get back out, are you going to tell Michael Douglas? I wouldn't.
I mean, me and Michael don't have any secrets between ourselves, you know. So I'll probably.
I would have a big Bill Murray shaped secret.
And Bill Murray, it's a good point. Criminally underused in that movie. I thought if you've got someone of Bill Murray's standards, you do something.
I reckon there was probably a lot of scenes that he had that were cut.
Yeah,
for time. But
yeah,
you know what? Every scene he was in, I thought it was glorious.
Glorious, yeah. Fuzzy's just saying that from the joke you like, he thinks it's a bit played out. Oof.
I kind of wanted that in every movie, almost like I want a little.
Me too.
Him recounting the MCU, yeah.
Replace Stan Lee's camos and just have that instead at the start of every movie.
But I think Efren's absolutely right. I think he would have fitted that movie perfectly. Him in the quantum realm, reacting, you know, having a person where this isn't a normal thing. Be there, I think would have really suited in his presence. I think would have elevated.
Very underrated actor too, Michael Pena.
Do you know what? Like you say that all as a joke, but one of the problems that a lot of people have with the MCU for the average moviegoer is that it's getting too convoluted, and you need to see too much to understand things. Now, obviously, they can't actually give you a previously on before that because they would have to pay all of the people that worked on those previous films to do that. But if they hired this actor to tell that story, that's the way to get around it. That's the way that will not only benefit the audience, it will be comedic and fun, and it can even play just before the actual credits of the movie even begins. So you got the chance to skip it if you don't want to. Yeah.
No, I like that idea. Look, I think it would be good fun.
I think one of the problems is too, in comic books at least, Ant-Man is not a leading type hero character. You know, he's not like, doesn't have a presence like Iron Man had or Captain America had. He just doesn't. That's the way the character is built, basically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cliff, I loved Quantumania. Michelle, sorry, welcome, Cliff. Nice to see you. Michelle Pfeiffer had great chemistry with Jonathan Majors. That was a nice bit at the start, mind. I did like the pair of them kind of trying to survive. Bit jarring CGI, but that terrible prize goes to the Flash. Yeah, we're going to touch on the Flash. Wow. And Kang is phenomenal. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree. Let's have a quick look. Phil's giving it a 60% on this one. I think that's reasonable. Big Dave, 40% for Ant-Man. He gave it a 1 out of 5. Wow.
40% would be a 2 out of 5, Dave. Get your shit together.
Okay, guys. Next movie forward to talk about is this one, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, starring Zachary Levi, and a whole host of interesting characters in this. We get the full Shazam family, the full Marvel family. We get Lucy is one of the bad guys, Lucy Lawless, and it's Lucy Lawless, isn't it? Is it Lawless?
Yep.
Yeah.
Lucy
Lucy Liu. Lucy.
Oh yeah, Lucy Lawless is from
Lucy
Xena.
Liu.
Yeah, sorry, Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
I did a U there.
You did a me. You did a me. Yeah. Phil's already jumping in with his estimation. Cow poop. Okay. Right then. So Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Who's seen this one? James, do you want to take it away? Tell us about it? I've seen this one.
I didn't want to get this one. Yeah, it's yes, please. I can't remember a lot of what happened in it, to be honest. Maybe that says it all. Really.
Yeah, it's a funny
the
film.
gods were furious.
They were absolutely
that's what I've taken
incandescent. They want to take away. You know what I mean? So this picks up after the first Shazam movie, and basically at this point, Billy's given all of his powers to all of his siblings, and they're sharing the power of Shazam. And they're flying around, and basically they're not very well regarded as heroes because they keep balls and stuff up and whatnot. And he's desperate for them to become a family. Basically, can't remember whose parents they are, but basically these 3 sisters decide that they're going to come back to Earth and reclaim the power of the gods from Billy, basically, and his family. And that's about it, really. So they attack the city. Billy falls in love with one of them. Helen Mirren's in it. She's very, very good. There's a bit of battling. There's a dragon thing, a giant skeleton dragon thing. And in the end, they all come together and have a bit of a fight and beat the dragon. So I have to say, this got absolutely slaughtered at the cinema. People pulled it to bits left, right, and centre. I just thought it was colourful, silly fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know what do you know, sometimes when, and you guys might be thinking the same about some of the films we talk about tonight, I honestly sometimes don't see what all the hate or where it comes from, and I don't know if it's just that I'm too easygoing or what, but it was stupid. It was a bit like we've talked about before, James, not necessarily connected to 15 other movies, so you could just watch it as a standalone movie. The action was canny in it, and the costumes were colourful, and it had a good family kind of movie feel to it. So for me, this was decent. Again, I'm not going to say it was, it's not Oscar worthy. It wasn't amazing, but it certainly wasn't a piece of shit. How about you, James T?
Yeah, I think it's very solid, but there's nothing exceptional about it, really.
Yeah.
I hated Lucy Liu in it. I think she was awful. I think that should have been. She should have been that should have been a Lucy Lawless or someone like that playing that role. I think she didn't have really the charisma for that, or an Eva Green or someone like I think who has a really commanding presence. I just didn't really buy her as the main villain. Even Helen Mirren, you should just swap those characters' roles over, really, and had her be the helpful one. But I from what I remember seeing it in the cinemas, I thought there was some really good jokes in it. There's a Wonder Woman gag in it that I thought was very funny. Jimon Hounsou is great in it as always. Yeah, Zachary Levi was really good. I thought it was there's some interesting stuff in it, like the whole he's kind of getting jealous. An element of it is he's getting jealous that the others are kind of going out and being superheroes themselves without him. They're not together all the time, and I thought that was interesting. So yeah, there's good stuff, but nothing. I wouldn't say to someone you have to see this. you know, like,
Yeah.
but it's a fun watch. You won't regret watching it anyway.
And there's a lot of, I mean, the talk around this one was quite interesting as well at the time, wasn't it? Because we'd had Black Adam before this, and there was all this stuff that Black Adam had Dwayne the Rock had kind of caused some issues on set with this particular movie, not allowing certain characters to be in it and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zachary Levi, I don't know if you saw any of the stuff afterwards. He's a proper comic nerd. He genuinely loves comic books, and you could see the pain in his eyes that basically this film hadn't turned out as he'd hoped for, you know.
Well, no, I think he had even specifically said that it was supposed to be the Justice Society. It was supposed to be like Pierce Brosnan at the end of the movie that was recruiting him, not the two Argus guys or whoever. But like, I mean, 100%, like, Shazam 2 should have been Shazam versus Black Adam. Like, why you would do Black Adam alone and then get a Black Adam movie after that? Like, why would you do Black Adam on his own and then Black Adam versus Superman? It's like, well, you know, stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Like, that's not who you are. So it was odd.
So another interesting one, guys. I know you haven't seen it. Anything you want to chip in on it before we move on?
So I'd seen I watched the first Shazam. I think I went to the cinema to see that one. That one came out, and I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was good dynamics on that one. But when the trailer for this one dropped, and it just looked like your standard, you know, paint by numbers, superhero story from DC. It just didn't seem like it was going to do anything that was going to be different, like, you know, Ant-Man, Quantumania. So I was I just had no interest in going to see it. I just didn't think it looked that great. So I didn't think it would do anything to keep me sort of entertained.
I think that's absolutely fair. You've described it is very standard paint by numbers. It's not the kind of movie to expect to come out necessarily having a revelation or feeling something. It's just a popcorn flick, I guess is how I would describe it. Luke, what about yourself?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You know, I found it as a very entertaining popcorn flick. In fact, after I watched it, I went, I don't know why everyone's hating on this. I'm going to take the opportunity to purchase the first appearance in DC Comics of Shazam himself. So I went and bought one that same night. I think what a lot of this all comes down to is expectation, because if I was categorizing these two films that we've just been speaking about, I'd probably give them the same grade. I'd probably mark them as being the same type of movie. The difference is that with the DC stuff, I wasn't expecting anything, but with the Marvel stuff, I expected something. Like we've all kind of said it. There was something missing. We didn't quite know what it was. And so I think that's where it all boils down to, is the expectation. And with this one, I went in to watch a popcorn flick, and that's what I got. So therefore, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think it's something we've talked about before about the weight of expectation and the weight of cameos in particular and things like that. You know, you expect, you build it up. That's certainly what I did with Multiverse of Madness. Just going to quickly jump to the comments here. Cliff on Comics is saying Fury of the Gods, fun, great cast, good family film, a bit too much Zachary Levi. Yeah, Lucy was a great villain. Interesting stuff. And Helen Mirren can do anything. Yeah, she's just superb in absolutely everything. Is our Helen. Sean, I enjoyed it, but Shazam acts younger than Billy.
Yeah. That's a problem with the movies, I think, is he's so immature, whereas when he's Billy, he's not like that at all. It feels very disjointed.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Sean's hit the nail right on the head there, because if you're into the character, and I'm not that into the character, but I do know a bit of the lore about him. He's supposed to have, the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon, wisdom of Solomon. Yeah. And yet, you're right. When he turns to Shazam, he's more childlike and juvenile than he is when he's Billy. Which is a bit interesting, I guess. Yeah. Phil, I'm just bitter because the whole Black Adam Henry Cavill thing. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. Fuzzy, haven't seen it. Have no urge to watch it either. The character does nothing for me, and Letty even less. Yeah, he's not a character I particularly wanted to see on screen, to be honest. Although, what I would say, if you want to see a really good rendition of Captain Marvel, of Shazam, sorry, there's an excellent episode of Justice League Unlimited where he has a fight with Superman. Which is a superb episode, absolutely superb episode. Cliff on Comics, The Rock's ego doesn't help. Absolutely, again, agree. And Big Dave didn't fancy this one after Black Adam. We're not talking about Black Adam this week. I can't remember. Was that must have been last year? I don't remember seeing it when I was trying.
That was Yeah, we were going to For the Love of Horror.
That's
Why I was
right.
over in
That's right.
Manchester. I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Again, not a particularly good movie. That one, I have to say.
Terrible. I thought abysmal.
Yeah.
Really bad. Yeah.
You all get the wisdom of Solomon, but it never quite works on anything. Mary just straight up ignores Solomon. So, yeah, you're right, Cliff. I agree, bud. And Phil, give us Kingdom Come, Shazam. Oh, yeah, devastating. I love that scene in Shazam in Kingdom Come, where he's got to make the choice between whether they detonate the bomb and kill everybody or not. It's heartbreaking. Ephron, gonna come to you next, my friend, and we're going to talk Guardians of the Galaxy number 3. Tell a little bit about this one.
Oh, he's mute.
You're muted, bud.
This is the final chapter of this version of Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. I was before the movie came out, I was a little bit weary of it, saying hopefully it's good. They won't fall, like the second one was just okay. I go, hopefully this is a good movie. And to me, it hit it out of the ballpark. It was very emotional. I shed a tear in some scenes, because I knew it was the end, especially when they thought Rocket had died. I was very emotional. And overall, I love this movie. I thought it was putting Marvel back on the right track. What they can do is special if they get it right, but that's the hard part for them, getting it right all the time. It's unfortunate, and this is 99% of the cast is the last time we're going to see them. I think the only one that's coming back is going to be Star-Lord, Peter Quill, and he ends up back on Earth. But I loved it, the whole movie, just space variant adventures of this group of B-list characters before they even started, how it can catapult certain characters, to A-list, comic book heroes. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It was really good.
Yeah. This one came, and I'm going to come to you guys in a second. This one came out when I was probably at my lowest with the Marvel Universe and feeling quite despondent after a few movies and things in the past, and this blew my socks off. I'm going to come to Luke later on because I think Luke didn't enjoy it perhaps as much as I did. But I absolutely loved this. I thought it had heart. I thought the special effects were great. And I loved the story. I thought it was a nice story. Luke, I'll leave you till a little bit, mate, because I'm sure you want to wade in. But James, have you seen this one?
Which one?
James T. We'll go James T first.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen all these. You can tell immediately when this movie starts that there's like care went into this. Even just looking on screen, there's a sheen over it that a lot of the other ones don't really have. I think it was an incredibly impactful and emotional story. I thought it was very unpredictable. It really did feel there was a gravity to it. Like it felt like anyone can really go at any second. I don't think I've cried at a movie so much in the last, like probably wasn't 20 minutes that went by I didn't shed a tear during this movie. So I think it's just incredible and just shows like when you have a writer-director who really loves and cares for the characters and the craft of the story, what you can get. So I think it's phenomenal. One of the best superhero movies of the last 10 years, I would say, probably. So yeah, fantastic.
Good stuff. Simon, you seen this one?
I have, yeah. I watched it about 3 times now. So it's on Disney Plus, isn't it now? So I've watched it on there.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, this one blew it out of the park as well. It was like from what we watched before, for the other Marvel movies. I just really enjoyed this one. I just think I think it was because they said, there'll be loads of deaths, and we just didn't know if more people were going to die. And we knew obviously Rocket was could be on death's door and dying, but we didn't know about any other characters. And I just thought it had a lot of motion and feel to it. And it and who played that bad guy? The
he was phenomenal.
That's his name. It's
I can't remember the guy's name, but he's done quite a bit of DC stuff, hasn't he? He did.
Yeah.
He was in Peacemaker.
He's in Peacemaker. Yeah. And so he was amazing as a bad guy. I thought he played a lot better than Kang. I think his performance was really good. So yeah.
Well, I certainly remember at the time because at the time there was all the stuff about Jonathan Majors, wasn't there, and the negativity with that. So I would have quite happily had him translate over and take over
Oh,
the
man.
Kang role because he was
Yeah.
just phenomenal in that.
He is
part.
alive. There's like deleted scenes where
Yeah.
and you can see it in the background in some bits where he's like been captured and he's still alive. So I'm sure we'll see that character again.
I also think if there's one movie in the Marvel universe that the soundtrack matters is with this movie. You know, soundtrack goes hand in hand with these Guardians of the Galaxy.
The
movies.
dog days are over. It's just-
Oh dear. James Comic Deal, have you seen this one?
I have.
And
Yes. I took my 5-year-old to see this as well. She surprisingly didn't mind the amount of animal cruelty and faces being ripped off. So, which worries me a little bit. But yeah. So I enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie. I don't think it's as good as what people have been coming out saying, "Oh, this is the savior of the MCU." It's really such. I don't get it because it's still quite a formulaic movie where they've got this thing to do. It seems like there's going to be stakes. They overcome the stakes. Nobody really dies, but okay, they split up as a team, and then that's it over. There's nothing. Again, it doesn't sort of change the format of the Marvel movies. Yeah, it's well acted, and I mean, I don't get the tears. I don't understand. I mean, why are we crying over a robotic raccoon? I don't understand.
Heartless is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I haven't cried since Lion King, so I think it's a good movie. I just don't think it's like as good as people are saying, or I don't get why it's considered to be much better than some of the other movies that people maybe don't like as much. But
that's really interesting. That's really interesting, James. And I've left Luke till the end because I know that he wasn't as an hour. I'll come in a second, but I think you've made some fair points there. And I have to be honest, I haven't gone back and rewatched it yet, so I may come out of that thinking exactly the same. It might be that just I was so relieved to see a decent movie. Do you know what I mean? It boosted us a bit.
Also, I think it was like a lot of the kind of hyperbole around the movie coming out, like as James kind of been talking about it for so long, and how I think he'd outright said it that not all of them were going to live at one point. So
the trolls were the trolls were merciless.
We're expecting some of them to go. Yeah. So like,
I
was surprised that they didn't.
I watched it a second time and I enjoyed it more.
Did you?
Yeah,
I'll have to watch it again. Luke, how about yourself?
I think that before we move on, I just want to say, like, the whole use of Adam Warlock is just.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's just literally just played for laughs the whole thing. There was no
Adam Warlock's portrayal, if you like, the comic book character was very poor. Yeah, I agree with that, mate. Luke, what about yourself?
I'm so thankful for James Comic Deal being on here, because if it was just me shitting on this movie, I would be hung up and quartered.
I mean, I wasn't shitting on it.
I don't know, but
I wouldn't go that far.
Mostly positive, like he said, it was pretty good. Like,
I'm mostly positive about it too. Don't get me wrong, but the bad is really bad. So, for example, you mentioned Adam Warlock. Like, there was no reason for him to be portrayed like that. That was a real kick in the bollocks, if you ask me. But I am a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, since that first movie. That first movie is one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. And I really do like the second one. I think the heartfelt moments with Yondu in the end of that second one is just so powerful. Like, when he says to him, like, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy. Like, oh my God, that's where I tear up. Yeah. As for this film, I love all the bits to do with Rocket and his backstory. I don't like the bits to do with Adam Warlock. And I think that the shit does outweigh the good stuff, unfortunately. I also feel, controversial, they chickened out, and this should have been the end of Rocket. Rocket should have died. Like, if they're not going to use the character anyway, and then that would have, like, because my problem with these characters is I like when a character's got a great story arc, a great story, and then they're done. My problem is that there's no deaths anymore. Like, everyone's always brought back. I mean, people are still talking about, bring Tony Stark back, bring Captain America back. It's like, no, just leave it. Like, yeah, you can have variants and everything else, but why? Just draw the line, have those stories, and end it. And I think this film would have been stronger had Rocket actually passed away. And I know it's controversial, but I think
it's a good point. It's good because I think that they leaned on that too much twice in the movie with Rocket and then Peter Quill, when he for a reason didn't have his mask in space when all the other times he does have his mask in space. So the whole transparent between the two ships.
Again,
So
as well, it comes
they
down
try to play
to
on it, you know what I mean?
it comes down to expectations, right? Because all of the media, even though they weren't flat out saying it, like the posters were showing you Rocket growing up, and like it was his swan song. You knew that it was going to be a thing.
That's why I feel like he shouldn't have died.
It knocked that. Yeah, but then they're just so you could argue
you're the tragic. He's the tragic character. Like I feel like there's several, like pretty much any of the rest of them could have gone, but like Rocket.
I thought Drax was going to go on a couple of
I
cases.
thought Drax was dead when he got shot.
Yeah. Oh, same time. I thought he was dead when he was shot in the chest or whatever it was. But
Kill more animals.
Yeah. I think your point's well made, Luke. I think for me, I went in expecting some death because it had been so heavily hinted and stuff like that, and I think a noble sacrifice probably would have hit hard. Do you know what I mean? It would have probably worked well, I think.
Luke's expecting a Game of Thrones of Marvel.
Well, I mean, they should. Yeah, I think we sometimes complain. One of my complaints about Quantumania was that nobody died. It felt like it should have been. There was no stakes to it.
The MCU is too safe. The MCU is too safe. Like no one's dead. No one's gone. Like even the heartfelt thing of like Vision being killed in Infinity War. You know, it all gets undone. He's back flying around now. 2 different versions, whatever you want to say. Like no one goes. And the thing is when you're doing an ongoing series like this, which is spanning for decades now, you know, we're into the 2nd decade of it all, heavily in actually. These actors can't play these roles forever, and again, like we can't keep leaning back on the whole variant thing. We're gonna have to say goodbye to these characters at some point, and new ones are gonna have to take over. And when you bring in new characters like Adam Warlock and you do them so dirty like this, how do you expect anyone to back that character moving forward?
I guess if you look at how impactful the death of Tony Stark was in Endgame, you could have had a similar thing in Guardians to end that bookend with one of those characters dying in that kind of way. Yeah, good points, guys. I'm going to jump to the chat now and move on. Only thing I would say is somebody mentioned something, I think it might have been you, James T, I can't remember, that I hadn't picked up on at the end of Guardians 3. When Groot speaks, he speaks in English and we all hear him, and I just thought that was a thing. But then someone referred back and said it's because everybody
understands what he's saying
because we're all family. We're all Groot,
exactly.
which I thought was
amazing.
Fuzzy, is Kingdom Come worth reading? Absolutely, Fuzzy. What a ridiculous question. It's one of the best books ever. Don't listen to Phil because he'll be talking tripe, no doubt. Cliff is saying Fuzzy Dunlop, Kingdom Come is a straight out classic. Absolutely. Big Dave agrees with James and Luke. It was okay, enjoyed the animal cruelty. Was so politically well done, but again, I thought weaker than the others. Adam Warlock was terrible, but a great improved CGI. I don't really understand why they went that. I mean, I guess you could argue with Adam Warlock, he'd been hatched or whatever, and he was supposed to be playing a young Adam Warlock that's going to develop in future films. But it did feel that they played him straight out.
I think
it was weird
to an extent. Like James Gunn wrote himself into that, where he had teased him at the end of the last one, so he had to be in this, and changed his mind because it was. I think at the time it wasn't going to be his last one, or the swan song for him with Marvel that it is now. So he changed what the movie was going to be.
I think the big problem is again with the expectations as comic book fans, like us comic book fans, the Infinity Saga, you know, the original story of all this gauntlet and everything. Like the snap is one panel for starters, and Adam Warlock is the main guy to defeat Thanos. Is the main guy to come in.
He is, Luke. But I would argue, and maybe it's just my taste, he's probably the least interesting part of the Infinity Saga. I've never liked him as a character.
Don't get me wrong, but the point is that they stripped everything about him away, and this is the problem that we have with some of these characters. So he's meant to have the Infinity Stone in his head, you know, but they gave that to Vision, and they do this quite a lot in the MCU, where they strip everything away from a certain character, give it to everyone else for their storylines, and so by the time they introduce that character, he's got nothing left.
Yeah,
it's like
comics aren't perfect, Luke.
Oh no, absolutely not. Don't get me wrong, absolutely not. But it just seems so. You know, I remember being in a comic book store when Infinity War came out, and a young kid came in wanting that comic, and I had to explain to him that that comic.
No,
doesn't
you can't have it.
exist.
It's mine.
Like that, the comic book that you're asking for, based on the movie, doesn't exist.
Couldn't have just made a
because it's
sale now.
totally different. I'm not the owner of the shop.
Sean
You
is making a good
from that
point
shop
there.
for life.
Great film, like Nebula in this. Bit of echo. Like Nebula in this, yeah, and that's actually something I didn't mention. I thought the battle scene at the end, the corridor scene, was
the one
phenomenal.
take. Oh my
yeah.
god,
It was
best I've
absolutely
seen.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
It was very, very cool. GP's just recommending Red Sun to Fuzzy. Yeah, that's a tremendous read. Very, very good. I knew Phil would come in. I knew he would. Good story, terrible art. How dare you? It's Alex Ross, man. It's perfection.
I think one of the problems with Luke brought this up, to some of these characters like Iron Man and Cap, we should go past them. But who the heck is going to take their place that's as popular as them? That's going to hold the audience.
I mean,
want to
people aren't exactly impressed with the lineup of Avengers now.
But
Like,
I thought they were going to big up Shang-Chi. Like that was my go-to.
Yeah.
That's where my expectation was. We got that movie, and I thought, well, he's going to take at least one of those leadership roles. But he's just disappeared since, and that's why I'm leaning towards these all being their own universes and not being. We're not seeing just one story play out. This isn't our universe that we're seeing. So I believe that all these characters are just from all over the place.
It's actually exhausting talking about this stuff, isn't it?
Have we even had an announcement for a Shang-Chi 2?
No.
The Shang-Chi director is doing Kang Dynasty, so I assume he's playing a big role in that. But yeah,
Fuzzy's just saying here, even if they do die, people will still want and expect them back. Yeah. It's a no-win situation. GP, Luke destroyed the dreams of one kid at a time.
I got to do my bit.
Absolutely. Okay, who's not led on a one yet? Who's not led? Is it everybody led on one?
Please pick Simon.
Yeah, but not Blue Beetle because I don't know that one.
No, we got the
Simon. You can have
yes.
at it with
Oh
Spider-Man.
yes, my favorite actually. So this is leading on from Into the Spider-Verse. So this is Across the Spider-Verse. Multi animations, absolutely amazing. So it's Miles Morales, and yeah, so basically it actually starts with Gwen Stacy and her portrayal and her universe, which is a nice sort of starting point. It's not starting straight away with Miles, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was really spectacular. And then, then we've got Spider-Man 2099 goes into her universe when, is it like a Vulture comes into place from another universe, and then she goes into what we call the Spider sort of realm where all the Spider-Men meet. And from that, she misses Miles, but she has the chance to go and meet him. So that's really where the sort of story pans out, and Miles then from there goes and goes back to the Spider Universe with her. So
yeah, it's all kind of linked, isn't it, to these canon events and Miles, the realization that Miles's dad is kind of destined to die, I guess. And that's the kind of the conflict, isn't it, that he decides that he wants to break one of these canon events and not let his father die. And that's when it all kicks off with Spider-Man 2099. So, Simon, what did you think of it in terms of the actual movie itself?
One of my favorite movies this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, if not, Guardians of the Galaxy is one, and then this is for me up there. It's really, I've got it on my t-shirt, Miles and Gwen. I've collected the figures. I don't know. I've watched it maybe 4 times now. I just like watching. Yeah, just because I like watching. What gets me about these movies is seeing all the little behind the scenes for all the different Spider-Man and in Spider-Verse, and going back and rewatching it, and it's got some amazing, like my favorite scene in it where he goes, they're fighting him on the train, and he goes, this is not my story, and then shocks him, and I'm going to do my own thing. So
is it out? Have you seen it 4 times in the cinema? Is it out on Disney Plus now?
It wouldn't be Disney because it's a Sony movie.
Oh, it's Sony, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be on Netflix probably first. I think that Netflix gets them 6 months after, and then Disney
Just
gets after
because
you.
I've only seen it the once, and I'll come to the guys in a second. But my feedback, and I've been pulled to bits for this one, is I love this film. I absolutely love this film. I think it's a tremendous movie. It's got a hell of a lot of heart to it. But I enjoyed the first one more, I have to say. Doesn't mean I think this is a bad movie. I enjoyed the first one more before anybody jumps on us. I think I need to go and see it a second time because my brain felt like it was going to explode in the cinema, and it was because there was a lot of kids around in the cinema, which did me head in. But the movie is so frantic and kinetic in different art styles and flashes, and I literally couldn't my eyes couldn't adjust quickly enough in some of the big battle scenes to really take in and appreciate all the little nuances and the bits that I wanted to see, I guess. So I do want to go and watch it a second time. I still think I enjoyed the first one more. And there's another animated movie we're going to talk about in a second, which I enjoyed more than this as well. But I still think this is a phenomenal movie. Okay, who's next? Luke.
Oh, that was an echo.
Oh, my voice boomed there. Did you hear that? That was like the voice of God. Luke. Go on.
I 100% agree with you, Peter. The first movie is a better movie, like even just hands down, like the way it pacing, the storyline, everything about it is a better movie. Not to say this isn't a good movie, it really is. The moment it started with Gwen, I thought that was it. I thought that meant that she was going to die. The opening up with her saying this is my story and that Miles isn't the only one and this and that happens and everything else. It made me really start to worry. And then let's not forget as well, Gwen Stacy is a canon event herself, and although Miles and her are from different universes, at the end of the day, she is still his Gwen. And so I wouldn't be surprised if she does pass away in the third movie. Now, again, I don't want to sound like I'm always talking about characters needing to die, but it would make sense either way. I would be really sad to see her go. I think she is an amazing portrayal of Spider-Gwen. But again, if this trilogy was going to end with her death, I think that would be okay, because you could always then go back and tell other stories later on or start a different trilogy or do different things. I feel like we need stories to end. Like back in the day, we used to get standalone stories, trilogies, and then that's it. Now they're carrying on for far too long, and it just becomes a bit of a cash cow. So I'd like to see this completely rounded off and done.
I don't think you're wrong, Luke, which kills us to say. I think you're probably right. And I think we've talked about, the importance of emotional impact on films. I think these movies know how to do that well. And I think the death of Spider-Gwen in the third movie would be a hell of that would be a Tony Stark moment. Do you know what I mean? For people watching.
Can I also say, I want this Miles to stay as animation. Like I don't want it to end in the third movie where he's like in our world and stuck there and now he's the Miles for the MCU or something like that. I don't want that. Like the bits where the Spot was going to different dimensions and he went to like the Venom universe and the Lego universe, it was okay, but it did take me out of the film. Like I like the different animation styles to portray the different worlds, but I don't really want to see this go into live action. I like it being an animated movie, and I think for some films that works better.
Yeah, I think Miles is absolutely going to come to the live action universe somehow. But I agree.
They can do Miles in the live action, but do it the same way as we've done other things, with just a whole new character, a whole new thing. Don't make it this Miles crossing over.
Hey Luke, don't diss the Lego though. A little kid made that.
I don't care who made it.
I thought that's how I enjoyed that movie. Like they let little kid make that scene.
I think we've established Luke, he has no time for kids. And
hey, you lot all love animal cruelty. Don't have a go at me about
it. Okay, Efren, what did you think of this movie?
I like the second one better than the first one. The first one, for me, I just wasn't used to the artwork. It was like in your face. It bothered me. But the second one, I was a little bit more ready for it. I don't think they're going to kill off Gwen because that's Miles's Gwen. Gwen died on Peter's watch. You know, that was Peter's Gwen, you know, so this is Miles' Gwen. So who knows if she's going to die or not, but I don't think she is. And I would like to see, for against what Luke said, but opposite, I would like to see this Spider-Man Miles in the Marvel MCU for some reason. I think I would like to see a crossover. I think it's going to happen in the third version. I think he's going to come to the real world. You know,
I mean, the movie had already told us that none of these canon events affect Miles anyway, because he has that blank sheet of paper that the teacher says in the beginning, like, this is his story. We already know that none of this affects Miles regardless. So his dad's not going to die, I don't think, or any of it, because those canon events apply to Peter, like what you're saying.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man. That was the whole.
He wasn't supposed to be, no. But there's something about that Citadel, right? Because every person in charge, whether it be Spider-Man 2099 or Jessica Drew or even the Spider clone, none of them are actual Peter Parkers. So who gives them the right to control all of this? Like, that's I think there's something more dodgy there than even that.
I mean, has anyone read?
But I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies. So.
Has anyone read?
It's my turn, Simon. Hang on.
This is chaos now.
So kick it off. Kick it off.
Finish.
I really enjoyed this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the year.
Good stuff, mate. Good. And now we'll go to James' comic deal.
I just want to know, has anyone read the Spider-Verse comic? No, I don't care about that. No, so I really liked. Again, it's another movie I took my son to, because I generally can't get out to the movies unless I bring at least one kid with me. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of the favorites. Again, I compare it against the first one. I've seen the first one so many times that it just sticks in my head so much. So it's hard to sort of pivot. And one thing going into this Across the Spider-Verse, I totally forgot it was a two-parter. So when it just sort of ended, I was like, what? I mean, I was sort of looking at my watch thinking, God, this is dragging on. This we're going to like come to a conclusion within 5 minutes here, and then it ended. And I was like, oh no, it was a two-parter. So I was actually slightly disappointed at that, but I think again, same with the first one. The animation style was just perfection. The music is perfection. The voice acting, the cast, everyone is perfection. I like the way they've tied it into the first one with Spot and being one of the scientists working for Kingpin and stuff like that. That was fun. I liked that there's so many Easter eggs. You know, I thought Cadbury's was going to come down and sue us for watching it. It was just ridiculous. And some of them were great Easter eggs, you know, with like Donald Glover live action Prowler being caught. And I think they did Ben Reilly dirty, but in the funniest way possible, because he's one of my favorite Spider-Man, and that was quite hilarious the way they portrayed Ben Reilly. So I have nothing bad to say about it. The only thing I can suggest for Luke to keep him, maybe if they kill Spider-Ham, so we keep the animal cruelty going.
Have burgers at the end.
My favorite part of that that first movie, my favorite part is that he's eating a hot dog.
Simon, we'll come back to you. What did you want to say? And then we'll go to James T.
Has anyone read the Edge of the Spider-Verse complete event comic?
Yes,
you have. So I echoing.
Jesus, is that you?
So the bad guys, which are like these vampires in the Edge of Spider-Verse comic, I think
Moreland.
Yeah, Mormon. I think
Mormon.
Spider-Man 2099.
I think Mormons are vampires.
Not Mormon.
Moreland.
Yeah.
I think that's a little insensitive.
No, Mormons.
They do dress in black. You're right, Simon. But
there is comparisons, and we'll put it that way. Like, you know.
The family's called the Inheritors, isn't it? Like, that's what they.
Yeah. Well, to me, I think Spider-Man 29 in this could be one of them, because he's like the vampire looking, and he needs the blood, because he doesn't portray the normal Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah. No, I think you've got a good point. I remember after the movie, Simon, going to Rob Fatstacks, who's a friend of ours, who's a massive 2099 fan, and asking him about that, because I thought the portrayal of 2099 was very different to what I've seen in comic books, So there might be something in that, mate. James T, you've sat patiently.
I theorized the same in our review. I believe that he might be one of the vampire guys.
Yeah,
I think it's
I'm pretty sure he didn't say he was a Mormon. Just
No,
to clarify.
nothing wrong with it. You know,
No, it could be.
It's a great musical. I'll be brief. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. You know, the first movie is probably my favorite, or at least one of definitely top 3 favorite animated movies of all time. I still prefer the first one. I think it's a more intimate story. This is being a sequel, is a bit grander in scale. But I thought it was really clever, the story. Like he's fighting against his own writing, which I thought was quite interesting. And these movies I think are a really amazing love letter to Spider-Man. I think the first one did that perfectly, and I think this one continues that very well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, James. And you know, I'll come to Fuzzy in a second here, but as a Spider-Man fan, and I know we've got some Uber fans on screen here, this is like a love letter. It's, you know, there's so much in terms of little Easter eggs and little, you know, nods that I would say 80-90% of the audience, it'll just pass them by. But you're sitting looking at the little, you know, the headings and things like that. It's just stunning. And Fuzzy's put in here, you know, he loves how they incorporated the comic covers and color palette into Gwen scenes. Clever and just something different. Absolutely, mate. It was beautiful. Cheeky bugger, Phil. My granny said the same thing, Pete, about her eyes hurting, but Fuzzy jumped in. He misses his eyes as well when watching. Yeah. Fuzzy thinks Gwen's a goner for sure. GP says they won't kill her Gwen. She's too popular. Not sure, mate. Not sure.
She's supposed to get a movie, I think. Isn't there like a female with Silk and stuff? I thought they're supposed to be doing a.
Is it Madam Web movie?
No, an animated one. I mean.
Oh, right.
Pretty sure they announced like a female team up movie or something with Gwen leading it. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Next movie. Flash.
Yeah.
So
every one of us.
That's a better movie. That is a better movie.
It is. Who's seen this? I know Efren has. You guys haven't. Okay. Jesus. I'll start. We're off then, because I know me and James will disagree on this one. But I'm interested to know what Simon's got to think, and Efren. So this picks up with. It's Barry Allen. It's no rendition of Barry Allen I've ever seen, but anyway, it's Barry Allen, who decides that his canon event, I guess you would say, is the death of his mother. So he decides he's going to go back in time and fix that and stop her from dying. He goes back in time. He fractures the timeline. He splits, so he encounters his younger self in this new timeline. It's never really explained, I don't think, but basically in this timeline, Superman didn't crash on Earth. It's Superwoman instead.
Did you not watch the spaghetti thing?
I did watch the spaghetti thing.
He explains it with spaghetti.
Yeah. Batman is Bruce Wayne from Batman 89, or a version of. And you get this battle where Zod arrives and the team up to take him down. During the battle, Flash sacrifices himself multiple times trying to save everybody, and he keeps getting stabbed with bits of Zod's armor and things like that, and he turns into a version of the Dark Flash. And in the end, they set time right, everything's great, and his dad's freed from prison. And you get a terrific scene in the middle where you get kind of different timelines where you see Nicolas Cage as Superman, you see Christopher Reeves, Helen Slater, all those kind of characters. It's dog shit. It's for a Flash fan, which I am. It's just not a good movie. It's got some nice bits. I'm not going to take it away. It's got some interesting scenes, some canny fight scenes. I would argue the opening, apart from the babies bit, which is just absolutely atrocious. Apart from the babies bit, the Batfleck stuff is phenomenal. That's the Batman movie we should have had. It's absolutely tremendous. Michael Keaton is superb. He's Michael Keaton. I quite like Superwoman in it. But it just all feels flat to me, which was just very disappointing. So a sad end to the DCU for me. James, what did you think?
I loved it from start to finish. I thought it was exceptional, like proper it had like an energy to it that I really just enjoyed. I just had an absolute blast. I thought Ezra Miller was fantastic, like the kind of dual roles and how they had chemistry with themselves, which is something you never see. Never really felt like it was. I know there was like moments where they've clearly like CG'd his face on it, even like in bits where they're not both on screen together. So I don't know why you would even do that. Like, but I just think it was just really just a fun movie, like very funny, fairly well written, some good emotion to it. Great movie. I loved it.
Simon, how about you?
It is dog shite.
You're not a fan either?
No, I mean, come on. There's little bits I enjoyed. Obviously, little bits in it. And you know, like you were saying, the bit at the start with the Batfleck, that was cool. I thought that baby scene was absolutely ridiculous. Like the CGI in it and it was just stupid. That it was no need for it. It was like, you know, like I love the Flash, like you, Peter. Like Flashpoint is one of my favorite. Like DC is good with their cartoon animated movies. That's what they're amazing at. Their animated movies are like bar to none. But the movies are absolute dog shit.
I don't feel like you've articulated your criticism very well.
I think he's explained that. He's explained that perfectly. Efren, you've seen this movie a couple of times, haven't you?
I enjoyed this movie. You know, I'm not the biggest Flash fan, but the premise, trying to bring his mom back, trying to save his mom, that pulled at my heartstrings. I went, dang, man. If anything, he was trying to be a hero and bring his mom back. And sure, the baby CGI was terrible. I won't lie, you know, but the scenes with Batman, even that little cameo with Wonder Woman, bringing back Michael Keaton and even the female Superman, I really enjoyed them in the movie. So to me, it was a good movie. You know, it wasn't the best movie ever. I liked it more than Quantumania. I'll say that for sure. It was a good movie, and I loved the ending when they brought in George Clooney. I went, "Oh, that's trippy," you know. And it was we go to see these movies to be enjoyed. It's a fantasy to be taken away from everyday normal life that happens. And for me, I just enjoyed this movie. You know?
I would give you, Efren, I would give you that. I mean, I think Batfleck was great. I did enjoy the Wonder Woman cameo. Michael Keaton's scenes were very, very cool. And I like the Superwoman, I guess. I don't know. Again, it's a one I've not gone back and rewatched. So I probably need to watch it another time to see if I'm being too hypercritical on it. I think that middle scene for me, where we had the promise of greatness in, you know, Nicolas Cage in the Superman costume.
That's the end of the movie.
The end, whatever. The Christopher Reeve bit, you know. That should have been awe-inspiring, and for me, I couldn't get away from the fact it just looked shit.
I love that scene. I love when they brought back the 1960s Batman.
Adam West.
Adam West. I liked. I mean, that scene to me was like, oh, this is pretty cool. You know,
I would prefer in
all the other characters. You know?
Yeah, when you're doing those type of cameos, so that they like actually play a role rather than it literally being like peering into a portal, you know. Yeah. But like for me, 40 minutes in, I even thought to myself, I don't really need Michael Keaton to show up in this. I'm just enjoying the Flash in it, you know. So like that's very much how I kind of felt throughout it. Like everybody's praising Michael Keaton. And
when they showed Christopher Reeve,
I think it could have been a great Flash movie alone.
When they show Christopher Reeve come out, I went, oh god, this is pretty cool. I like that scene a lot. You
know. Okay, guys, we'll move on. There's lots of comments about that I think it's a very divisive film, to be honest. I do want to watch it a second time to see what I think. Von Hoot, I love
you hated Doctor Strange too, and then you loved it. So
I love the idea of the scene, but it was painfully executed. Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you. James, I'm going to come to you next. Have you seen this?
Which one?
Sorry, James Comic Deal. Sorry.
Yes, I have seen this.
Tell me a little bit about this and your thoughts.
And he took his son, right?
I did. On a very wet evening. So this is the Turtles. This is sort of like a I don't know, would you call it a rebranding, relaunch of the Turtles? And yeah, basically it just tells a story of the four teenage turtles. They're more portrayed as younger than we've seen before, and it's just basically about their sort of wants and needs and how they're growing up. And they then come face to face with another mutant army, and yeah, it's just such a good movie. It's for me, it's all about sort of growing up and wanting a place to belong. And to feel like you belong, and I think that's like the main theme that it sort of portrays through it. And I just love this movie. This movie is definitely one of my favorites of the year. And I can't wait to watch it again. Again, I think when it sort of was announced and all the sort of casts were announced and some of the art was shown, there was a lot of people were sort of like, oh, this is not my Turtles. And, you know, there was a lot of hoo-ha about not liking what they see, and then to the extreme where people are like, oh, the April O'Neil, it's not my April O'Neil and all that jazz. And people just need to relax. They just need to sit down, chill out, watch the bloody movie and just be entertained for the hour and a half that was on, because this movie is just perfect.
So beautifully summarized there, James. I went into this with low expectations, maybe. So I wasn't sure what to think of this. And this for me was just outstanding. I absolutely loved everything about this. I thought the voice cast was perfect. I thought the animation was perfect. Like you're saying, James, I went in and just disconnected from everything I know about Turtles and just enjoyed the ride for what it was. So all the changes to the mythology didn't phase us at all, really. I thought it was tremendous. Now, Luke, you are our turtle expert. What did you think of this one?
Do you know what? Out of all of us here, I think James Comic Deal deserves that title more than me.
Right?
I'm gonna say that because he's
I
a
like
much bigger fan.
count.
He's a much bigger fan than I am. Like, I love Turtles, don't get me wrong, but this guy's got like a vast Turtles collection that outdoes mine. So yeah, that title can go over to his.
I humbly take it. Thank you, sir.
I love Turtles, as many of you guys know. You know, I like Turtles.
You beat James Keegan to it there. I saw him pressing the mic.
I turned it off by mistake.
Sorry, I'll do it again, James. I like Turtles.
I love Turtles.
The Turtles for me, like I've said it multiple times, you know, there's a version of Turtles for every generation, and this is no different. Like this is another retelling. It's, you know, not everyone needs to worry so much about whether it's my Turtles or not. You know, I just like that the franchise is still continuing. What I find interesting about the Turtles as a group of heroes, again, you're saying about the cast being perfection there. That's exactly what I'm about to talk about. The thing is, we don't tend to worry about who the cast for the Turtles ever is. You know, if for every other movie, you can say who's your best Batman, who's your best Spider-Man, who's this, who's that, and the other for all these different superheroes, all these different movie characters. But when it comes to the Turtles, it kind of speaks for itself. Now, granted, I know we had like Corey Feldman doing the voice of Donatello in the live-action 1990s movie, and we've had a few other kind of semi-top actors, or at least familiar names, play other roles in other versions. But for the most part, it's just who your favorite turtle is. It doesn't matter who is playing or portraying them, because the character is what shines through. And I think this film equally captivated those characters. Now, I'm not going to say that it's my ultimate favorite Turtles movie, because that still is the 1990s live action movie for me personally. I know, again, that's not everyone's taste. But this is a strong movie. This is a good movie. And I've been to see it multiple times, taken my kids multiple times, because they too enjoyed it that much. Like I say, there's bits in it that I'm not a fan of. Like, I would much prefer them to be more ninja than teenager. But that, again, it's my personal preference. It doesn't take away from it being an enjoyable movie.
And do you not think that'll come, Luke? Do you not think
I think that will. I think this is the perfect start for this franchise, because whether or not this spins off into a TV series or other movies, I feel like, and again, I'm sorry, guys, death, right? Death for characters. I think the Shredder's going to come in.
Miserable bastard.
I think the Shredder's going to come in and show these kids what a real ninja is and what a real ninja is capable of. And he might very well kill Splinter, which forces the Turtles to become the heroes that they become.
Hang on, Splinter is Jackie Chan. Nobody is killing Jackie Chan.
Yeah, no one kills Jackie Chan. Why?
Again,
The only
story's
chance
not
is
happening.
if Shredder's played by Chuck Norris, maybe, but no, it's not happening. You know?
I feel like the Shredder coming into it, because the way it ended, spoiler alert, it ended with all the mutants being quite happy together. So I can imagine the Turtles being out and about, maybe doing a shopping errand again. The Shredder comes in, kills a fair few of them, probably takes like Bebop and Rocksteady on his team, like what we're familiar with him doing, and probably leaving Splinter near to death, you know, and then the Turtles will then have to fight a real ninja. At least that's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
But again, I get that it might not play out that way.
It's the kids' movie.
See, what I like about it, like the Turtles across most of their iterations have never actually been proper ninjas. Okay, that they're always just sort of trained through Splinter or you know, and I liked on this one that they were trained through like home videos and learn karate videos, which is perfect. And
oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong, it made me chuckle, and I like seeing this interpretation. Like,
but they're never going to be fully fledged ninjas, which really sort of stacks the odds against them, which I've always liked that as well. But you know, they do get some skills.
Very.
I think
Anybody else?
Like, for kids' films, we shouldn't shy away from the death.
I swear to God, if you say death,
Need it.
kids need death. Kids,
they do. They do.
I remember watching Watership
experiencing
Down.
it through film is how people cope with real life. Like I think
I remember watching Watership Down when I was younger, and it did me no harm. That was it.
That's why the last movie I've cried at was Lion King. There's nothing can ever beat that. And that was like that's the death of all deaths. And E.T., but that was before.
Yeah. James T, have you seen this one? Haven't you?
I have. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. This made a Turtle fan out of me because I never really cared for them prior.
And then you,
but I loved that. Sorry, hit me back down. I thought it was a breath of fresh air, a really unique take on the character. Like I'd seen bits and pieces of Turtles things, and this just constantly surprised me with the route that they went with it. I thought the cast, as you said, cast to perfection, and just they really felt like friends. They really felt like brothers. You know, obviously there's a lot of ad-libbing going on there, but like the conversations felt very real. Visually just stunning, like it's kind of Spider-Verse-esque, but like it's a bit more of like a kid's sketchbook kind of look to it, which I really loved. I thought the villain was great. Yeah, the Superfly and all the kind of the deep cuts of Turtles lore that they kind of throw in there. Jackie Chan was amazing, and it was hilarious as well. I was really like in stitches laughing every 5 minutes or so. So yeah, I think really exceptional movie, and one of the best of the year.
Yeah, it was very, very strong. Hi, Austin. We're just talking about the latest Turtles cartoon, mate. Okay. Anybody else got anything you want to say on this before we move on? No.
There's not a lot of heart. I think we said it when it came out. It's just one of the most heartfelt movies I think I've watched. And, you know, I don't say that often because I have no emotion. So this one really brought it out in me.
Completely. And I think I said at the time watching it, as a father, it really did hit the heartstrings in a number of scenes for me. It was just beautiful. Ephraim, I'm going to come to you first on this one because I know you enjoyed this one the same as me. This is Blue Beetle, the latest of the superhero movies we're going to talk about. Tell a little bit about this one, Ephraim.
As far as the movie, I don't know much about the comic book character, but the movie, it's basically this teenager, this right out of college individual. He goes to his sister's job, and there's a scarab, if I'm pronouncing it right, that the owner or the CEO, her niece grabs a scarab and gives it to him to take care of. And this scarab basically bonds with somebody that he finds that is that can carry the mantle of the Blue Beetle. I know I'm not saying this right, sorry, but
no, you are, mate. You are.
Okay. But he basically, the scarab absorbs into the Blue Beetle, the character, and he becomes a superhero. It's your typical superhero movie, like a teenage boy becomes a superhero, and then he fights against a big conglomerate, you know, and it goes from there. I liked it more because it was like a family orientated movie. You know, I'm Hispanic, so that touched it with me, you know, but Hispanics always live together. It always seems like a big family like that. And George Perez was in that movie. So one of my favorite comedians, you know, I really enjoyed this movie. Unfortunately, it's not a popular DC character. So I think that's what hurt this film as far as making money. But overall, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. So for me, sorry, who else has seen this one? Great. Come to you guys in a second. So for me, this very much had a Shazam kind of vibe to it in terms of it's not groundbreaking. It is by the numbers, but it's a good popcorn flick. I am aware of the character. I'm aware more of the character's history in terms of the original 2 Blue Beetles. This version of Blue Beetle is very popular and was made very popular because of the Teen Titans cartoon. That's where my son is aware of them from. This was pulled to bits as usual before it even was released. I went to see it because I go to see all superhero movies, and I loved it. I just thought it was good fun. It put a smile on my face. I got real Miss Marvel vibes in terms of the family dynamic, that kind of stuff. That said, Luke, I'm sure you liked it because there was some really heartbreaking death scenes in it that I wasn't anticipating. I mean, it literally came. It was telegraphed a bit leading up to it, but I didn't think they would go that far.
You
and
need,
they
you
did.
need to have stakes in a movie. This
Exactly
is what that does.
Yeah, and it really did give you that kind of mid movie shock where it was like, "Ooh, this is." I thought the special effects were pretty good. I thought the effects of the Beetle were pretty cool, and I loved the scene with the Beetle craft at the end, climbing the walls and stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. James T, come to you first, then we'll come to Luke.
I thought it was really great. I had an absolute blast watching it, and like you said, the family aspect of it is definitely the strongest part. Like they just all the actors are really well cast, really good chemistry between them. The dialogue is great. George Perez, I felt like was a highlight. His character was just absolutely hilarious, and I really loved every minute with him. It's the heart is there. It's got the kind of heart and the emotion, the stakes, and your little Easter eggs for Blue Beetles fans, in terms of how it kind of relates to the Ted Cord version so much. And I think the villain department is probably I thought it was like an acceptable set of villains. Like Susan Sarandon with like a good performance, but nothing like amazing. But I think that like the only place I would say it falls down a bit is it has a really good moment with a villain at the end, but I feel like you could have done more throughout the movie. It feels like it's a little bit out of the blue, I get that. But I think it's a really fantastic movie. Like I think everybody should check it out. Not groundbreaking in any way, but just a really solid, fun, memorable movie.
I made a mistake. I said George Perez. It's George Lopez.
George Lopez is I thought you said George Perez is a comic writer, isn't he?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
I was wondering, and then I thought I was wrong.
Yeah, no.
I was like, oh, it must be George Perez.
I thought Sharon Stone was brilliant in it.
Just graded everything.
What did you think then, Luke? What did you think of this one?
Yeah, so when I first saw the trailer for this, I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like typical superhero movie, loads of CGI, everything else. But actually watching it, like you say, really good popcorn flick. And again, I lean back on the whole expectation thing. Like I live and breathe Marvel, like whether it be comic books, toys, movies, etc. So that my expectations are a lot higher. When it comes to these DC movies and or other, the expectation is that little bit lower, and I can just enjoy it for what it is. You're not kind of trying to pick it apart or anything. Now, I will say, out of all the different superhero costumes that any of us could potentially one day wish to own, I would pick this one. Like, you can keep your Black Panther costume, you can keep your Iron Man suit. I would want this one. Like, this is a cool costume. This is a cool thing. Obviously, there are a few things that I question, like when you sit there and you're like, okay, so he won't kill people, but his family are okay with it. You kind of have to just be like, okay, well, you would have thought that he had those morals because he was raised by his family, but obviously not. Like, that's just him personally. So there's little bits where you kind of go, oh, okay. It's really funny when you see it, like the grandma, for example. Like, hilarious, like great.
I wish they hadn't given away one of her best lines in the trailer, but
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But to be fair, seeing that trailer is what made me go see it, because I don't know if I would have done had I not known what I was going into. So I'm going to support a trailer in this instance. I'm looking forward to seeing it again when it comes out on like digital download or streaming or wherever it might be. I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
I'm really hoping this isn't the last we've seen of that actor or this character, because I'd love to see them continue in some way. And you're absolutely right, Luke, that in terms of the costume and stuff, I would love a hot toy of this. If Hot Toys were to do a figure of this with all the add-ons and different attachments, it would be spectacular. But there's not been a hint of it at all. Okay, guys. So, anybody else seen Blue Beetle? No. Good stuff.
No. I was just going to say, I was just searching up that actor. He's the one out of Cobra Kai, isn't he? Because at first I thought the One Piece actor was him, but they're completely different. Right. They look very similar. So.
Yeah. Bit of an echo again there. Yeah. Okay, guys, just coming back to the movies we've talked about tonight. We've talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Spider-Verse, Guardians 3, Shazam, Quantumania, Flash, and Blue Beetle. So for you guys, and also for everybody in the chat, I'm going to come to you each individually in a second, and I just want to know your favorite out of this lot and your least favorite. So I'll start off. My favorite is without a shadow of a doubt, and I'm basing this purely on how I felt in the cinema, how much fun I had in the cinema. So my favorite out of all of these is without doubt Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And my least favorite is Ant-Man and Quantumania, I'm afraid to say. James, we'll come to you next. James T. Keegan.
I really love The Flash. I don't know. I can't put that first, though. Surely I would get it ripped into.
You put what you want, no matter how wrong it is, James. You put what you want.
It's hard because like there are some like excellent movies here. But honestly, I think in terms of like the most fun I had watching one, Ninja Turtles, I think it has to be as well.
Good stuff. Least favorite?
I think Quantumania is probably objectively the worst movie, but I'll watch that again. Whereas Shazam 2, I'll probably never watch again.
Okay. Luke?
So yeah, again, Turtles for me. It was just an all-rounder great film, like I say. So that's definitely my top one. This is hard for my least favorite because, like I say, I put Ant-Man and Shazam as being like those same type of films, and they are what they are, and they're kind of just like mid-level. But the one that I was mostly disappointed with was Guardians 3.
Jesus Christ!
Like, not the don't get me wrong. Really? Don't get me wrong, guys. Right, the good stuff was far superior and probably tops majority of what was even in Turtles. But I'm talking about the bad stuff, bringing it down that much. That we're talking about the perfect movie, right? We're talking about which one.
There's no such thing as a perfect movie.
Oh, I disagree.
He's allowed his own opinion. James is allowed his own opinion. What's your least favorite?
Not most disappointing. Your least favorite one here.
I think the disappointing fact. Don't get. I haven't seen Flash, so I can't give my statement on that.
Yeah. You just have the ones you've seen.
But I'm saying that the bad stuff in Guardians was that bad.
And that's fine. That everybody's allowed their own opinion.
If it's wrong.
Efren, how about yourself?
My favorite it captivated me from the beginning to the end was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I just loved it. I've seen all these spider characters in one, movie just bouncing off of each other. I just really enjoyed the pace of the movie. Like I said, I got more used to it than the first movie. Just threw me off for some reason. But this one I really loved. God, as far as bad movie, I mean, even though it may be at the bottom, but to me it was still a good movie. So it was the Flash movie, but I still liked it. I mean, of all these movies, just the Flash one, was a little bit below Quantumania to me, So
okay, Simon.
Pretty much the same as Efren. Spider-Verse was my chosen one as the number one. I've watched it a few times. I do enjoy the Turtles, but I would keep watching Spider-Verse again and again and again. And the Flash, just because it's dog shit.
James, comment to you about yourself.
So the four that I've seen, the top one has to be the Turtles. Without a shadow of a doubt. It's not even close for the rest of them. But the rest of them are still really good movies. But I think the one that I would rank my least favorite out of them is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I will defend that man until the day I die, because that movie is masterpiece.
I respect your opinion, James. As a fellow James, I have no issue.
So Andy's in the chat trying to cause fights. Turtles was pure mince.
We need a moderator, Peter. This is
He hasn't even seen the movie.
He
I don't know
hasn't
what he's talking
even
about.
seen
He
it,
haven't seen it.
Sean, Turtles first, Ant-Man last. Andy is saying The Flash was the most disappointed I've been since I heard Lee commentaries. Harsh, Andy, harsh. We have had a load of comments in from people on Instagram. Big Dave, best movies recently have been low CGI ones. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Some good movies out there. He doesn't think he's seen a good movie yet this year.
Haven't seen Oppenheimer. Is that good?
No,
Is that an anthropomorphic
No,
bunny?
Is that a Peter Rabbit crossover?
Kiwes is saying Spider-Verse the best, Quantumania the worst. Interesting. Phil, best Spider-Man, worst Shazam. Jack, Spider-Man is the best, worst is Shazam. He hates Zachary Levy. Fuzzy, enjoyed the Turtles Mutant Mayhem the most, worst was Ant-Man, hasn't seen The Flash or Blue Beetle. And comics only, best was Spider-Man, worst Ant-Man. Interesting stuff. So guys,
Can I just ask a question to the panel, just out of curiosity? So obviously this has all come off of the heels of like lockdowns, pandemics, writers' strikes. The full works has been against Hollywood this whole time. Do you think that the reason why these animated films have been particularly better than the live action movies is for that reason? Because the animators can still work from home, can still do things, whereas everyone else was kind of forced to shut down. Like, do you think that, because obviously films take years to make, right? So this is all knock-on effect for these bad movies.
I don't know, and it's a good question, Luke, and we'll ask the guys in a second. But I wonder as well how much. I wonder if there's a difference in terms of studio interference with cartoons versus live action movies. I wonder if the big execs sat in their offices pay as much attention to the cartoons in terms of interference, if you know what I mean.
I only say it because, like, for me, the top 3 movies have been Super Mario Brothers, Spider-Verse, and then Turtles. I think animation has dominated this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Those
James?
are the only films that were like in production when COVID hit. Because I'm pretty sure like Blue Beetle, Quantumania were all like directors became attached. That was all post COVID, like the entire production cycle. So I'm not sure if
I think Ant-Man was being filmed during COVID pandemic.
During COVID, was it? Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure. It's I know that the aren't visual effects artists now unionizing, so that we'll see how that affects that. I
do have a theory on this, Luke, which is literally just popped into my head. So allow me to get that across. So basically, what I think is the rest of those animated movies you mentioned, they're not. They don't have the sort of actors' contracts to appear in so many films, and they don't have this long-term plan to fit in 5, 6, 7 phases of trying to tell storylines. So they're all constricted to what they can or cannot do. Whereas the animated movies, they're more loose. They're things, especially like Turtles and Super Mario, they could do whatever they wanted basically. And then Across the Spider-Verse, to a certain degree, it goes out. Balls out crazy, and we've discussed this. We like balls out crazy, so I think that's the reason the studios need to shoehorn so much into the rest of those movies that it does, drag those down. Whereas the animated movies like Turtles and Mario and stuff doesn't have to do that.
I think you're right, James. Okay, chaps, I'm just conscious of time. I asked you at the start what you think is an acceptable kind of percentage to say this is a decent movie. So we'll come to you each. James Keegan will work down. What do you think would you class as a percentage for a good movie?
I think if you have a start, middle, end, and credits, you deserve a 2 at least. So just the act of making a movie. Good, like 5 is like nothing. It's like I don't feel anything about this movie at all. I think 6 is like it was okay. 7 is like decent. 8, then you're getting that was pretty good. 9, very good, and then 10 obviously is like incredible. So that's how I scale it. But that changes movie to movie. So I often rate 8 for something and then 8 for another, and I'm like, no, they're nowhere near the same.
So in terms of percentage, 80% is a good movie for you?
I
If
think
it's hitting
70 up, I think, is like
70 up.
pretty good. But you'd be
Okay.
getting like 50 down is kind of bad.
Yeah, that's what Sean's agreeing there. 70% is a
Yeah.
good movie. What about you, Luke?
So I grade and rank my movies the same way as I do comic books, to put it into the simplest terms. So a 5 is a mid-level. So
Yeah.
I think that's like your standard for most movies, with, like you say, a start, middle, and end.
Yeah.
But then that means anything that's like an 8, 9, etc., is a top tier movie. Like that's where you want to be. So again, if you want to put it into percentages, then yeah, like 80% or higher, I would say, is deemed as being a good movie. Your 9.8s, for example, is like your excellent movie, like your Shawshank Redemptions.
Yeah, that makes sense. How about you, Efren?
Before we go any further, I'm going to watch the turtle movie. So you guys seem to really enjoy that movie. Now I'm going to check it out. You know, I wasn't planning on seeing that movie at all, but you know, I
Good
think
stuff.
You'll like it, Efren, I think.
You'll like it.
Make sure you have a carton of milk with you when you're watching it.
Okay.
Extra large family pack of Doritos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some pizza.
You know, talking about superhero movies, they've been going on for over 10 years for sure now. So when they first came out, I mean, my percentage has changed. Anything 80 and above to me was a good movie, you know, because it was, so to speak, it was fresh. And, you know, the really good movies like the first Iron Man. But since there's been so many superhero movies now, you know, not just by Marvel and DC, but they're coming out more and more often. It's gotten a little bit lower. I think anywhere between 70 and above to me is a good movie. You know?
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Simon?
Yeah, I mean, the way I work it, I think like 70, 75 probably, but pushing into the 80s, it makes a good movie.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
good.
That's what I'm thinking.
Thanks, bud. And James?
I mean, similar to Luke, I would rate my movies how I rate my relationships with women. So I would say if I'm happy 70% of the time, then you know it's a pretty good run. So I would say 70-75% is a good, enjoyable time.
Good stuff.
Obviously, anything below 50%, and I've just wasted my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And using that scale, James, where are you at the moment with your current relationship? No, don't answer. Don't answer.
I mean, 100%.
Good. Okay, chap. So the reason I ask that is, we've talked a lot about movies tonight, and I've gone off good old Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I think Rotten Tomatoes is a load of rubbish, but it's a good kind of, I guess, guide for where audiences are. I don't look at the critic scores, but I do look at the audience scores. So we've got the audience scores for all of the movies, and it's interesting that you've all set the kind of the market above 70% for being a good movie. Every single movie we've talked about tonight is over that threshold. Even Shazam, 86% audience score there. The best audience score we've got is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at 94%, tied with Guardians at 94%, and then Blue Beetle at 92%, which I think is tremendous.
The problem that I have with the way that these scores work with these sort of sites is that, like, your critics are obviously getting paid to go there. Like, they tend to be older people who don't care about that stuff, who go there to watch certain movies. So if they just want to mock it and say, it's just an animated kids movie, that's what they'll say, and that relates to their score. Then the audience score is the people who that film was actually made for. That's the people who went to see it because they were interested. So you kind of don't get a real answer from any of this because it's so extreme on both sides.
Yeah.
So I don't think these sites really work.
Also, Rotten Tomatoes has been in a bit of trouble lately because there was like a whole scandal of semi-paying people to not publish bad reviews or put them on blogs so that they don't count towards them.
I mean, it was a nice earner for me while it lasted, but now
I mean
I take both of your points, but for the purpose of light entertainment and just getting a bit of a rough kind of idea of scores, it's pretty interesting, I think. And I think in terms of the higher score movies, that's kind of reflecting on what we've been talking about tonight, isn't it? And it's interesting that the lowest movie, I think most of us kind of said, Ant-Man was probably the least favorite. That kind of came out at the same as well. What did you say, James?
I said no. You're just wrong.
You absolutely disagree. Yeah. So interesting stuff. I think it's for me, it shows kind of that I think sometimes we kind of get a bit negative with some of these things, I guess. And I think, I know I've done a video of it. I know Luke's doing a video of it. Sometimes I personally think I've become a bit blasé with movies now. I've kind of lost a little bit of the enjoyment of it because it's also so normal, if you know what I mean. There's nothing, I think, as you said earlier, James Comicdean, there's nothing necessarily new there anymore. I'm waiting for something to blow me socks off. But yeah, interesting. What's coming up? So I just wanted to briefly mention and see if you guys are excited about these. We've got the Marvels coming up. What are you thinking about that? Is this one lighting your fire? Is this exciting? Anybody?
Is this a series or a movie? This one?
It's a movie, mate. It's a movie.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm quite
Very
excited.
good.
I liked the Miss Marvel show. I liked the Captain Marvel movie. And Spectrum in the WandaVision one was good too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Evan, you saw this one at San Diego Comic-Con, the first trailer, didn't you? And it was
For this movie, no, they didn't have
I
the
thought-
trailer. No, not for this movie. They didn't have anything to do with Marvel. Because of the strike, Marvel didn't show up at all.
no. Last year, San Diego Comic-Con. I remember you coming back and saying I think they showed a teaser or something, and you said
No,
this
that was
the one
at
that-
Disney. Disney celebration.
Disney.
That
Yeah,
was
Disney
Disney.
celebration.
Yeah, they showed it, but yeah, the preview that they showed at Disney celebration, it was good. I mean, I go, wow, I can't wait to see this movie. But I heard recently, because of the strike, and none of these actors are going to be promoting this movie. It doesn't seem like they may push this movie back.
They've already pushed
Oh,
a
really?
variety of other movies.
Yeah.
For that reason, I feel like this one is gonna stick. It's their big IMAX movie at the end of the year. Any big movie that comes out in, I think this is December, you've got like a clear run till February. So that's like where movies do well, in the Christmas period. So I'd say this will stay.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it's going to lose money because the actors are not going to promote it. Not as many people are going to want to go see it.
I mean, I'm kind of. I loved the Miss Marvel show, and I didn't mind the first Captain Marvel movie. I just don't get. I'm not excited about this. I don't know why. I don't know if is anybody like hyper excited about this, or are you all just kind of?
I want to see it. I think it's going to be
Massively looking forward to it.
My only problem is I don't know if I can convince my son to come with me because he's going to see it. Oh, it's a girls' movie because there's 3 girls. So I don't know if I'm going to get to see it. Yeah, girls. Yeah. Wait till you're 10 years older, son.
Luke, were you about to say something?
I was just going to say, I thoroughly enjoyed the trailers for this. My problem with the trailers for this was that it showed that everyone after Secret Invasion was going to be okay. Like that, it's kind of the knock-on effect of these movies and shows, right? So my problem was that it was going to spoil things because we saw Samuel L. Jackson being fine in this movie and we knew it came afterwards, etc. But very controversial here because I really like that first Captain Marvel movie, and I know a lot of people hate it. I know a lot of people don't like Brie Larson. I love it. It's one of my favorite MCU movies. And I know that seems like a weird thing to say for most people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. The Miss Marvel show I thought was a bit, it was okay. But the other character appearing obviously in WandaVision was great as well. I'm interested to see how they all link together, and this whole swapping over places when they use their powers, I think could be a lot of fun. Yeah,
the nigger bands. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Look, I enjoyed the first movie. I don't understand all the hate it got again, but I think that was more about the individual rather than the movie itself.
I think and you need to be able to separate yourself from the artist. You know what I mean? Like we speak about this quite a lot. Like I still enjoy watching Will Smith films regardless of who he punches in the face.
New trailer for Aquaman just out last week. I loved the first Aquaman movie. Completely didn't expect to, but I really did enjoy it. This trailer had some dodgy CGI, but it just looked a bit. And then he said wet. It just, I don't know, it didn't necessarily blow us away. What about you guys? Are you excited for this one?
No.
Yeah.
I think I watched the trailer and I didn't really get that bit where he says, "Oh, I've started a family, man," and he's starting a family and stuff when he's. Well, I'm also Atlantis. That to me, the trailer just didn't fit.
Like,
I just didn't. He's just become. The king of Atlantis, and then he's gone and made little family as a human.
Yeah.
It was very much played for laughs, wasn't it? The whole, his suit hanging up and all that kind of stuff, which was a bit strange, I think. I don't know. I'm less interested because of the state that these movies are in now, in terms of we know that this is not really going to continue on, I guess.
Although,
yeah.
if you're looking for characters to die, I assume like Amber Heard's character is going to die at some point, right? So you're just, there's definitely going to be a death in there, right?
I'm 50-50 not seeing it because she's in it as well, like, because that was a whole terrible situation. So.
I only watched the first one because she was in it.
Because she was in it, yeah. Can you imagine if they did do something as crazy as kill her in this movie? I mean, it would be it would be very interesting for the backlash after that, I think. I'm quite sad about this because I really did enjoy the first movie. I will still go and see this at the cinema, and I'm crossing everything that it's going to be decent. But that trailer didn't necessarily excite us, I have to say. Well.
This is next year, isn't it?
Well, it's down as it might shift back, but I think it was down on the list.
This got pushed back a full year. This isn't until October next year.
Oh, right,
okay.
Year, yeah.
All right, next slide. Then we don't have to talk about
next slide. We don't have to talk about
it.
You know what, guys? I'm actually looking forward to this.
Oh, give it a rest.
No, I am.
No, you're not.
I am. It's, you know, like when you say like a typical popcorn movie, like, come on, like at the end of the day, right, we now know what we're expecting from Sony. Like I had Morbius up there. That trailer was amazing. I thought this was going to be a brilliant film, and it wasn't, right? And then we've been burnt by Venom 2 and everything else. Now we know what to expect. I think this could just be, again, bring those expectations low. I think it could just be a fun popcorn movie.
I bet you touched the stove a lot as a kid and didn't learn.
I mean,
also, I will stress out, right? Remember, I don't go to the cinema to see this stuff, so I'm not investing all that time. I'm talking about watching it when it's on streaming or DVD. I'm not going to be rushing out to see it. Like, if this was the next proper Spider-Man movie, then obviously I would. But I'm not going to cinema to see this.
I'm excited for this movie that's not going to be good enough to leave the house to go see. Like, I don't understand.
I think you've got to give every movie. You've got to give every movie a chance before you can critique it.
That's what I'm trying to say. He's a phenomenal actor, mate, isn't he?
So not in the trailer for the movie.
He gets his powers from a lion, doesn't it? Is in this movie, some lion blood seeps into him, and he gets lion.
And how is that any different to a radioactive spider or anything else? Like that is
they don't even think it's a radioactive lion. It's just a normal lion, isn't it?
It could be a spiritual thing, couldn't it? Like,
but just
different.
Well, hang on,
kids are going to go out and cut lions.
Just to come back earlier, Luke, you were complaining because Adam Warlock was different to his.
I was just thinking that as well. Yeah,
because it's all no, it's not hypocrite. It's all in context because you know what you're expecting. It's the expectations. This is what I'm talking about. We expect more from the MCU and someone like Kevin Feige, who supposedly loves the source material. This is Sony. We know Sony don't give a shit. Right? This is different.
Yeah. I'll still see it, but I mean, I have to say, I'm not expecting anything big things. I'll give it a go.
The best we can ask for is like, I really just don't see it being anything past that.
I would say as well, just based on the picture, he has a very impractical sense of chairs.
Yeah, it's no worse than the Game of Thrones chair, but yeah, I get you. I wouldn't like to think where those antlers are going. So, chaps, that is our debate, discussion, whatever you want to call it. Thank you very much for everybody's views and opinions. As ever, everybody's opinions and views are welcome, and I enjoy a bit of
mine.
Not at all, Luke. Not at all. You're more than entitled to say what you think.
Not if they're right.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that tomorrow night, some of us are over on GP Venom's channel, which is the comic book review show where we're going to be talking about crossover. So I've read the first, I want to say 3 issues today. Interesting. So I'm looking forward to talking about that because that is going to be an interesting show, I think. After that, I will be live over on Reviews with Rich at 9 o'clock. Please do go and check that out. Give him some support. We're going to be talking all things movie news, Ahsoka, Aquaman, and is that Yellowstone, I think it's called? I don't watch that one.
I've been watching Yellowstone. It's amazing.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about all those kind of things. So that's going to be good fun. And on Thursday, we've got this. And this is Comic Lad Simon. Tell me a little bit about this, Simon.
Yeah, so it's reviewing really the difference and the live action Netflix One Piece series. So 8 episodes. So you've watched it, Peter.
Yeah.
And getting GP on, and hopefully Tom. Hopefully he hasn't come back to me yet, but hopefully there's about 3 of us on, or 4 of us. Yeah, so we're going to be reviewing it, and obviously you haven't watched the anime, Peter, but I will point out some like differences and things like that do, but all in all, yeah, it's going to be an interesting review.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Simon, because I am a big fan. And that's 7:45 on Thursday night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be leaving that show at 8:45 and jumping over to the Killer Comic Show, where I'm going to be supporting the guys because Charlie's away. So me and Tom will be taking the lead. We're going to be talking about Cull, and we're going to be talking about Batman Gargoyle. So looking forward to that. That should be fun. Ephraim, what have you got coming up tonight, mate?
I'm doing my monthly show. It's called Comic Culture. It's just my take on comic books, movies, TV shows, what's coming up. And I do a little sports at the end. I'm into sports here. National Football League, that's the real football, by the way.
Yeah.
And then Friday, Peter and I are doing our monthly books that we recommend, and I believe we're going to be doing a couple of giveaways on that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to go live 8:00 with our usual kind of review of books that are coming out in the next couple of months' time, and we're going to be giving away some free. Well, I'll give away some free comics. I don't know Ephraim's got. Is it a slab, Ephraim?
I'm going to be giving away a slab. Yeah. So looking forward to that. So that should be fun. James T, what have you got coming up on your channel?
I don't have any edited videos in the works at the moment, but some moves are being made for a new live show. We're coming up to the spookiest time of year, and there's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so that's in motion at the moment. So there'll be more on that later.
I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be good fun. Good stuff. James, Comic Deal, what have we got coming up from you?
I don't think of anything in the works at the minute. I don't. I get these ideas and then I decide it's too much hassle, so forget it.
The crowds want more panels and paints, mate.
What's panels? Yeah. Someone has to remind me. I don't know what that is.
We need more. Who knows
what we're talking about?
Yeah, we know.
I don't know. Someone didn't take the Saturday slot.
You can do it after, or I'll bin me Saturday and jump on your show.
I'm an old man. Yeah. I'm in my 40s. I wasn't when I started that.
Good stuff. Simon, we've talked about your show. Have you got anything else coming up, or is it just
we'll see how this one goes, and then we'll see. I might try and do some more live adaptations. So
good stuff. Ephraim, anything else from you?
Always doing shorts. I put in a poll. My most recent short is I did the top 3 DC characters and the top 3 Marvel characters, and now it's Batman versus Captain America. And so far, Batman's pulling away on that one. Let me see. I'm doing another What Did I Buy Now? Something that out of the norm that I usually don't buy. I bought a couple of items, and just being on Peter's show like 3/4 of the time. So,
and you're always welcome, Pat. You're always welcome. And of course, you've still got your main giveaway going. So if people need to go and check.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Reminded me. I'm going to be. I have 3 comic books that were given to me by Black Saber, and they were CGC books, and they're Venom related books. 2 of them, they're on my. If you go to one of my recent videos, it's a giveaway. And I'm going to probably be giving it away on Thursday. All you have to do is just leave a comment, and you're in the running for those books. And I will ship them to the UK or whoever wins,
And the nice books as well from memory. Yeah. Some beautiful covers. So good stuff. And Luke, what's coming up on Hydra Collectibles?
Yeah, so I just released a video this evening stating a few points of what I'm looking forward to with the new DCU. So if you're also like me, that you think that it could be something special moving forward, then why not go and check that out and leave your thoughts and opinions on that video? Because I might do a follow-up to it as we get closer to a new release that's part of all that. And then on Friday, I'm going back to some more physical media-based content, and I'm going to explain why physical media isn't dead. Because there's a lot of people out there spreading this news that physical media is done and it's never coming back, and there's still lots coming out, still lots in the works.
Cool, interesting stuff. Okay, thank you very much, chaps. That has been really interesting. I've enjoyed the discussion and the debate tonight. So thank you as well to everybody that's been in the chat. We had 20 odd people watching at one point, which is phenomenal for my little channel. So really do appreciate you all spending the time with me and commenting. And I look forward to seeing you over at GP Venom's channel tomorrow night for that review of Crossover. And with that, we'll call it a night, guys. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.